wondered what happens when people call 911 for a murder, or the people who help in the process? Hi, my name is Madison Flatzo, and today I'm going to be explaining forensic science and 3 of the most common fields that are used in helping to solve cases, and some of those cases that it's been used in. So actually, whenever you call 911, paramedics, police enforcement, and an investigator will come out. The purpose of the investigator is to collect evidence, so mainly bullet cap casings, fingerprints, blood splatter, anything that can be used as a weapon. And when that is found, you have to document as evidence on a piece of paper. This is the coroner's office. This is where the body goes. They have all these fancy tools and equipment that you can do tests, you can examine the body, sometimes even have to cut open a body to see what happens. This is ballistic analysis. Ballistic analysis mainly covers bullet trajectory, bullets, bullet casings. So something that we can help with bullets is every bullet and its gun has a certain form on it. So it'll always have certain little indents on it which can help figure out what type of gun was used. Same with the casings. On the bottom of the casing, it'll tell you what caliber and kind of what brand it is. With trace evidence analysis, it mainly deals with fibers, hair samples, paint samples, fingerprints, and gunshot residue. Fingerprints can help you lead towards the murderer or even help identify an unknown victim. Paint samples and hair and fibers can be seen in cars, can be seen on people or even things. And hair samples can be used to also identify either the murderer or the victim. They can also give DNA. DNA analysis mainly deal with rape, fingerprints, blood, footprints, and bite marks. Bite marks go along with forensic ontology. They mainly just look at dental impressions from all over the place and they can match it to a certain person. This is luminol, which is a water-based solution that reacts with the protein hemoglobin in your blood. And when a blue light is spread over it, it'll turn bright blue like this. Footprints can be also determined back to you, the murderer. If you step in blood or anything like this, and if you go to a police investigation and you're wearing these shoes, yeah, you kind of messed up. They're gonna figure out it was you because you wore those shoes there. You might have blood, it can tell you the shoe size and the shoe brand. So this is Vicki Lynn Hoskin, and in 1984, she was only 8 years old when she never returned home from running an errand for her mother. This was the only thing that was left at the scene when her sister went looking for her. And later on, Sam Hall, who was a gym teacher at a nearby school, had noticed a man preying on children at a park, and he thought to write down this license plate number. And so when he learned of Vicki's disappearance, he turned it into the police, and it came to be Frank Atwood. Frank Atwood already had a very kind of long, violence of history. He was put into a kidnapping and a murder of 2 young boys. And when turned into the police, they took his car, and when they noticed that the car had an indent on it, they took the pink bike and noticed that they had pink paint on the chrome bumper. So the chrome bumper had pink paint, and the pink bike had chrome paint on it, which led that to be together. And 7 months later, they found the skeletal remains of Vicki, and forensic anthropologists identified it to her. Frank Atwood was charged with the murder of Vicki and sentenced to death. This is Carla Brown. She was on June 21st in 1978. She was only 22 years old when she was found dead in her basement. The death scene was staged, and when they came to a dead end with all the leads that they had, they looked towards forensic ontology and used 3D imagery to look better at a bite mark that was put on her shoulder. The guy was given 3 different impressions, and he didn't know who they belonged to, and when he figured out who it was, it came to John Prant, and he was sentenced to 75 years in prison. This is Pilar MacArthur, and in 1989, only at 30 years old, she was found shot dead in her house. Ted MacArthur, who was her husband, was a homicide detective and said that his wife had shot herself. When they brought in a ballistic analyst, he looked at the photos and noticed that the sight of the gun was pressed against her head and knew how the gun was placed. He then formulated that she could not have shot herself because the tendons in your arm, when placed like this, would not allow you to shoot a trigger. And 4 years later, Ted MacArthur was charged with first-degree murder of his wife. So, in conclusion, if you ever think that you'll get away with a murder, you won't, because no matter what and no matter how careful you are, even a strand of hair can open an entire case and land you in jail.